Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green, and I'm excited about today's show because I got to visit a really amazing carnivorous plant collection. I'm going to show you guys some amazing stuff out of that, and we're also going to look at some flowers in bloom in my collection, which are, as you can see, there's some interesting things going on right now, so stay tuned. Alright, well, last weekend I had the chance to visit probably the most amazing plant collection I've ever seen. This is a carnivorous plant collection owned by Jeremiah Harris, and Jeremiah has stuff I've never seen or even heard of, so let's have a look around. So Jeremiah does a lot of breeding, so you can see there's a lot of seed trays here where he's made the cross, and it was interesting because I asked him if there was a register for Nepenthes hybrids like there is for orchids. Look how big his pictures are. And he said that there is no official record of all the different Nepenthes hybrids. So perhaps that could be a good research project for some ambitious young PhD candidate. Well, seeing Jeremiah's collection has certainly opened my eyes. So let's have a word with the man himself and see what he has to say. Okay, so we're here in the greenhouse of Jeremiah's plants, and he's going to show us a little bit of the Nepenthes that he has here and talk about, what got you into carnivorous plants in the first place.
Yeah, so I've been into carnivorous plants and Nepenthes for about 25 years now, and I just love the shapes and colors and sizes. You get these like really dark maroons to reds. Some of these are even like a white or porcelain in color. This one has a little more like blood red to it, and just so many different shapes and sizes. This is the biggest one I've probably ever had.
Good Lord.
This one will actually catch mice. So there is actually a dead mouse in this one right now.
Oh, jeez.
The plant caught completely on its own. And last year, over the course of the winter, this plant caught 8 mice.
Oh my gosh.
And it will completely digest the mice. All that will be left is a little bit of hair. Maybe the teeth, but everything else is gone after about 2 months.
And I think you were telling me that plants like this are plants, they get this big in the wild or bigger.
They do. The biggest that I've seen in the wild will hold about 3 liters of water.
Oh my gosh.
Will be over 50 centimeters tall.
Wow.
Probably the largest species I've ever seen is a Nepenthes raja.
Okay.
And it only grows on Mount Kinabalu in Borneo.
Okay.
And so it's just a spectacular plant.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for showing us around. I really appreciate it, and hope to see some more of you in the future.
Of course. Thank you.
Moving on to more temperate parts of Jeremiah's collection, these are the pitcher plants from coastal United States and Canada. This is Sarracenia, the genus Sarracenia. Lots of color variation and some huge plants as well. You're looking at a Venus flytrap without any teeth. Yeah, Jeremiah has some pretty interesting cultivars of the Venus flytrap. And, there's different sizes, different colors, but I thought it was funny that there were lots of flies that had been eaten, like this little guy. He's just an empty husk.
That one's ginormous, and it comes from a nursery in California.
If I had to take any of those carnivorous plants home with me, it might be this bright red Venus flytrap. I just love the color on that. Well, the tour ended in the first greenhouse that Jeremiah had as a kid, and I told him I'd always wanted one but never had one, and he said, well, I highly recommend it. So who knows, Jeremiah, who knows, maybe one day. But for right now, my greenhouse is the greenhouses at Fantasy Orchids, where I keep my collection of green pets. And this is a very special time of year because 2 of my plants that bloom probably the least often are in bloom at the same time. Path Michael Kopovitz last bloomed 3 years ago. The first flower opened up about a month ago, and the newest flower is still extending out its petals. In the foreground you can see an orchid that's only in bloom for about 4 days out of the year, and that's Bulbophyllum medusae. You've been seeing me do spike updates for the past couple months, but here it is. They're finally open, and look at them. Aren't they gorgeous? If this plant were to ever be awarded by the American Orchid Society, I would be required to put down a name for the plant, a clonal name. And so I actually asked my community on Instagram what types of names that I could give this plant. And I got some pretty funny responses. Had a Sylvia, which I actually thought was really nice. Cousin It. Trufula from the Dr. Seuss book, The Lorax. The Yuffin, which I don't know what that's from. But Eileen wins it with Chanel. We had been saying that the flowers are sexy, and so she looked up sexy names, and what could be sexier than Chanel, right? Alright, well, if we can manage to tear our eyes off of Chanel, let's have a look at this Phalaenopsis schilleriana that's been putting up a spike for a couple months now. And really looking forward to these butterfly-shaped pink flowers that are also fragrant. And we have gotten to the point where the spike has started to form branches, and you can also see the first bud starting to push out too. Kind of looking along the stem here, you got the first branch. No idea how many flowers will be on each branch, but sometimes it's surprising. That's the second branch, and then the tip you can see just the first flower bud starting to push out. The long petals of Michelkopovitz start out straight and wavy, but as they age they start to twist. You can see the new petals on the right versus the twisty older petals on the left. And this plant's been in bloom for about 4 weeks, so I would expect after another week or two we're going to see some flowers starting to drop off, but we're going to enjoy it fully until that happens. And right behind this plant actually is another path, big multifloral path that's going to be blooming soon. This is my path prime child, and it's got a bloom spike that's been very slow. It's been working on it for a couple months now. Usually in the past it's been a lot faster, but it's got 2 buds on it, and the last time this plant bloomed it won an AOS award, so we'll see if the flowers are as big and beautiful as they were last time. My path collection increased significantly a couple weeks ago when I bought out the collection of Shrub It Off on Instagram. You can follow him and see what he's up to, another plant person. And so now I've got these wonderful, wonderful mottled leaf paths that come from the forest floors of different Southeast Asian areas. And this particular one, Path Appletonianum, is in spikes, so we'll be seeing the flower on that coming out soon. And last but not least, one of the best things about moving to Colorado has been there is a community of plant-loving people. So I went to the Boulder Orchid Society meeting a few nights ago, and I got a couple new plants. I got a Bulbophyllum lepidum, and I also got this Bulbophyllum labii, Kathy's Gold, which is an awarded hybrid. So I'm really excited to grow those out. You know, I've got 10 Bulbophyllums now. I don't know how this happened. They've just found their way into my collection. You guys know how it is. Well, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed today's My Green Pets. I hope that you learned something. Hopefully you saw something that you never have seen before, and hopefully you enjoyed. So until next time, I'm William Green. These are My Green Pets, and we'll see you next time. Have a great week.